Everything all right over there?
All right, here we go. Hello, and welcome to Unexplained Possibilities Podcast. I'm your host, Melvin the Crimson Taurus, and unfortunately, Nima can't be here tonight. She is busy being a fashionista and creating new styles and what have you. But, as you guys already know, if I'm live, I'm not alone. And as long as you're not blind and illiterate, then you can already see who my guest is. He is the man who put the soul in soul science, live every Friday on YouTube. Please welcome alchemist, teacher, writer, creator, and little known fact, a very big nerd, Kurtis
How's
Joseph.
it going, brother?
It is a going. It is indeed a going. So I was telling Curtis earlier I was having some crazy tech issues, and he informed me could be Mercury being back in retrograde, like the heifer Mercury
Yep.
is, like insane.
Well, yeah, man. It's retrograde 6 months out of the 12-month year.
Mhm.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's
it
crazy to think about.
needs to go somewhere.
Uh,
Yeah, but
I don't ever.
yeah, well, I tend to do it like, oh, my cat is being such a heifer. Do not touch those wires. Like I moved her so she wouldn't get to the wires, and she just boom snuck right over there. So if we all somehow disappear, it's the cat's fault. So you guys
Yeah,
blame her.
I don't deny that. It will be the cat's fault forever. I don't know how many statues I've had to redo because of cats being curious.
And I don't even know
Yeah.
why she's back there. It's literally nothing there.
Curious?
Oh, and there she goes on my wires. Come on, get down, 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 down. Oh, you're being a heifer. There we go. All right. Oh, she came back. Oh, you are on one today.
Mhm.
Oh, now you're messing up the camera. This is not how I wanted to start the show, folks. I am fighting with the. Come on, sweet. Give me 1 sec, guy. I am so sorry, Curtis.
No, you're fine, man. I know. I can relate.
Come on. Off, 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 off. Thank you.
Oh.
And you've come back. Oh my gosh, you are being a pain. What is wrong with you? Down. No, don't do it. Don't.
Like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you
Yeah,
keep up, bro?
seriously. Come on.
Cats are on some different stuff.
Oh, come on, sweet.
Always are.
Yeah, she is just really being a. No, oh, and there it is. She laid down right on the wires, which I. Oh, stop touching stuff. Come here.
That's
Everything.
so funny, dude.
Oh, go. Great. Cat. I don't even know if. I think the wrong mic is picking me up now. Great. And now she stole my fan. Just add insult to injury. Yeah, so how are you doing, Curtis? Uh, I'm totally. All right, let me see if I can fix this. Gosh darn it. All right. Okay, there we go. Should be heard. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So, trying to fix this live on air, not how I wanted to start the show. The cat now stole my fan, and I'm going to have to do edits when I have to upload this to Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So, brilliant. Way to go, Sweet Pea.
Oh, yeah. That's typical, dude. Cats. Mhm.
Um,
They
let's
never can just behave.
no, too
They're
much
always
person.
like, no, man, it's not. It's like that Dennis the Menace problem child type of animal. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm on the right mic.
Obnoxious. We got tons of it. I love them to death, but I know how they are.
All right. I think we're good. All right. Can
Cool.
everyone hear us in chat? And thank you all for joining us. I think we're back. I think we're good. Um, so there we go. What a way to start start our show. Um, as now I need to take a picture of this, but my phone is elsewhere. Freaking cat is now on my fan, just completely hogging it. So if I pass out from heat stroke, it's her fault as well. But anyway, we have to get into this. So um, last week, Kurtis, some interesting things happened to you, and you might have channeled what many people, myself included, would call Arcturians, who are supposed to be the architects of this galaxy of what we know. Uh, what's going on there, man? How did that happen?
Man, I've got a lot of very simple practices that I adhere to. One of which is to simply charge each bead of a 108 bead mala with something that I'm grateful for. And I have a lot of very powerful experiences while doing this. I will feel a lot of spiritual power flowing through me while doing this. Well, one day while I was doing this, I was just about to go off grid, as I call it, which is where I'm getting off the beaten trail, where all I'm going to see around me is fields and the road, you know. And I see this orb of light above the surface of the ground, and it shot up into the sky, and it came back down, and it just shot back up way higher and just disappeared out of sight, like in the blink of an eye. I believe that was my first recent UFO experience. Now, is that the Arcturians? I don't know. All I know is that after that point, yeah, I will simply all of a sudden know things out of nowhere. Things that I wouldn't know.
Sorry, having more tech issues. All right, there we go. Yeah, and
Yeah,
what's insane about that is because I know you don't really know about the Arcturians and stuff like that, or and they came at you and said because you mentioned the Atlanteans and the
yeah, dude.
connection there.
This is the thing, and I didn't and don't know shit about this. Well, the other day, man, the reason I wanted to just show an example. I want to give an example to Melvin at that point in time. Like, look, bro, this is how I do it. I just I just say it. What this thing is telling me. And I didn't know that there was a connection between the Arcturians and planting the seeds of man. This is what they said. They called it planting the seeds of man. It was through Atlantis. So these were originally the true beings who are the architects of humanity specifically, the beginning of all of that. Because the Atlantean faith is the first faith of man. So I know that much. But I know nothing about their connection to the architects of the fucking universe. I don't know anything about that. Nothing. So I sit here and I tell Melvin about it. And then I get information in regard to the operations of these ships and how they're not necessarily mechanical, they're biomechanical. That they operate really through hooking into the neurological system of the alien being via the brain. So the intent moves this bio light orb. It's not done through steering. It's done a lot like we would describe astral projecting. You don't walk, you just will yourself to move. That's how they move. But their technology, you see, the way they brought it up, it was like light is sound, that it moves at the speed of sound. Vibration is the key. This is the common denominator between light and sound, according to them. So they're sitting there telling me how this technology operates. And I'm like, see, dude, this is how it works. This is how it fucking works. And I can do that at any point in time. Usually, at will. Not always, but usually.
Now, is this something anyone can learn? Like how to open ourselves up to quite literally the universe? You got a kidney
All of
going
us can
crazy.
learn to sculpt. All of us can learn to sculpt. All of us can learn to paint. All of us can learn to sew. Can we do it to our own expectations and that at that level? No, we all can't. I'm just going to be honest. Just like not everybody's going to be a boxer. Not everybody's going to be a jiu-jitsu player. Not everybody's going to be a talented writer, as can be seen by recent book reviews that you've done. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The potential is there, though. The potential is there. Yes. The ability to cultivate that skill to the greatest of your ability is there. Yes. How far that is, how much that development can be, I think there's a lot of variables. A lot of variables. Some of them genetic.
That's interesting because I was after whatever was going on with you, I decided to jump back into Edgar Casey, which I told you to look him up because he claims to have figured
Mm-hmm.
out a way to communicate with various beings from wherever. And he said the same, something similar to you, what you just said now, where the potential is there, but not everyone's going to have an aptitude for it, which is fine. No one's going to, what you can do someone else might be able to do better, but something else you can do, they can't do at all. Um, and he was saying how you can communicate with them. If you can't do it on your own, you can align yourself up with the universe, and you have to wait between a certain time, and you have to do some type of meditation and say whatever a few times so you could get into the right headspace and go that way. And it made me think that sometimes people, they don't want to put in the work, and it limits their potential and what they can or cannot do. And
Yeah.
it's a
You
shame.
know, a lot of it is headspace. It is getting into the right headspace. But there is biological, there's a biological sensitivity that comes through self awareness. And I think this is the true meaning of know thyself within the occult. You have to have self awareness to an extreme. You really do. You've got to be able to differentiate between your thoughts and the thoughts of another advanced entity. A lot of people, dude, they're automatically gonna think they're geniuses. See, I know better. I knew better a long time ago. I wasn't that smart to be able to know the things that I was knowing. So I think that helped too to keep the door open for me. But for instance, like activating a sigil. There's something that happens within the biology, dude. Like when the lines start to flash, that my eyes feel a certain way. They like seep back into socket, relax, and lift. It's something that I'm aware of. And when my body does that, the sigil then activates. Just like when my body does this, the head moves. There's a, cause and effect type relationship going on here. Um, a lot of times there's biological cues that let me know I am starting to step in. Like when I'm getting gnosis, if my own tongue is moving in my mouth, it's my own inner dialogue. See, our mind is connected to the muscles. See, like for me, for instance, within Filipino martial arts, 6 count heaven, dude, it looks so fucking simple. 6 count heaven looks so simple. And it is to me. But I can do this in my mind, in my imagination. In my brain, it doesn't know that I'm not doing it. This is scientific fact. So if I am having an inner dialogue, my tongue will move. If it's dialogue of an external sentience, it's not connected to your tongue. Self-awareness. These small, subtle biological cues. You're not going to learn about this anywhere. Here tonight. I don't even teach it directly. But yeah,
That's
self-awareness. Know thyself. This is the true meaning behind it.
that's very interesting. You say that. So when I do tarot, like it's a couple of things that I look out for. One is it's I don't know how to explain it too well, but it's a feeling on my spine and on my left arm. I'm right-handed, so I shouldn't really feel anything on my left arm. But when I feel something, a tingling on my spine, that's how I know it's me. It's like, okay, this is me thinking. But when I feel something on my left arm and I say, before I do any type of tarot aloud, I say, okay, if anything's going to show up or whatever, the left arm is what you touch. If I feel that, that's when I'm like, oh, something's here. Something. Don't you
Yeah.
dare, you skank. No, don't. No, no. Not this time. No. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry. Oh, she did it anyway. Fine, just lay there. Sorry. Cat made me lose my train of thought, concentration, everything. Up and there we go. Way to go. What a heifer. Oh, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so yeah, this is just gonna be one of those nights. She is on one, and she does not care. Anyway, as I was saying, while I try to fix the camera, guys, when when I'm doing tarot, like if I feel something on my spine, I know it's me. Like, I know it's my anxiety. I know it's just me maybe tapping into something, maybe not, but I know it's me. When it's on my left arm, I know it's something else. Like, I can't explain it, but I just
Yeah.
know.
There
And
you go.
then going deeper.
Example.
Huh? What was that?
Yeah, it's another example.
Yeah. And,
Know thyself.
and when I really get into the tarot, like I always say, let this door open up, allow me to see, hear, feel whatever I need to see, hear, and feel. And I told you, I shared this with you before, Kurtis, and it is literally in my imagination, in my mind's eye, a door opening and light coming through. Then now there are cats outside fighting. Light coming through, then like seeing a sun in the sky, and now water is starting to appear like at the ground level, endless amounts of water. Doesn't happen every time, but it's happened. And for me, it's like, okay, this is something else.
Yeah.
This isn't just me here. This is something. I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I know it sounds a little nuts, but
No, not at all. It doesn't sound nuts. To those that make it seem like it would be nuts, these are those that really aren't self-aware. These are they're people that don't really understand the subtle nuances of the witchcraft. You know what I mean? There is a craft part of the witchcraft, but you don't know it and you can't do it until you earn your fucking spokes within the science of it all. And the thing is, most of these people out here are self-proclaimed magi on Facebook. They don't understand that that's an actual title that you earn through actual fucking education. Not everybody can just identify as a fucking high priestess, bitch. Sorry. That's not how it works. There's qualifications that give you these titles, guru, things like this. They are earned. Information, it's earned. The science,
oh, excuse me.
it's earned. And what happens now is you get too many people with these self-proclaimed titles that think they know something. And they waste a whole lot of time misinforming people. So now we've got situations where people are swimming through bullshit, misinformation, trying to find nuggets of fucking truth to apply in their spiritual work to gain results. And it's sad.
Yeah, it is. And it becomes one of those things where the misinformation is spread to one person, then it doubles, quadruples, all of that. And it's it's how ignorance is born. And it only takes one. That's the crazy thing. And hello, everyone joining us. Not ignoring you. I see you guys. Thank you for kicking it with us tonight. And if you guys have any questions or anything whatsoever, feel free to ask and we will answer. Just as long as it's nothing stupid, then you'll trigger Kurtis and, he might get you in a headlock or something. So, you know. um, but yeah, it's insane. Like you mentioned, the review, part two review of Psychic Defense. I mean, I'm not a person who gets upset too much. And I was very upset at that and thinking people who are reading this, who are brand new to magic, the occult, witchcraft, whatever you want to call it, brand spanking new. And, the first thing you see, that's what's going to stick with you. It's always going to stick with you, no matter how much you try to correct it. And it's a taint. It taints people and it messes everything up. How do you, how does someone like you, because you are a teacher, how do you combat that if you can combat it?
There's different levels to dealing with that, because as a teacher, unless somebody is putting somebody in danger, dude, I'm gonna leave their name out of my mouth. You gotta be a real fucking scumbag for me to call you out. You know, it's just the way it works. So I'm not going to talk bad about people. What I have to do is definitely stay connected to the dragon, stay connected, and continue to teach inclusively, because what I teach is actual inclusivity. People from Christianity have come in, people from Thelema, people from the Church of Satan. They have all been equally transformed in powerful ways, in practical ways. So by teaching that truth, people are automatically going to be exposed to someone like that and the bullshit radar through being exposed to truth, and it goes off in them. This helps to protect the students, take some of the effort off of me, and it deals with the students' own intelligence. And that's the issue at the end of the day, my friend. This is not really something that we can combat when we have a stupid humanity. I would challenge you to look up some of the other sorts of people that have done reviews for her book. And that's no offense to you. We all know why I do know why you do reviews about this woman's material. But for the most part, people that read her work are mentally challenged, man. They're being exploited. Yeah. And they want to feel a part of something. So they throw a little bit of money at it when they get it. They do their little video on YouTube in hopes that she sees it, in hopes that she thinks they're cute. And at the end of the day, it's pathetic simp shit. But it's just the way of the world, man. What do? You can't really protect people that don't want to use their own mind. And it's funny because, buddy, this is what I told Bonnie's son the other day. We were having a discussion, and out of nowhere, dude, some spiritual force came through me to explain to this boy that stupidity is the origin of evil. That all evil comes forth through a heart that is led by a mind that is uncontrolled by the person who's supposed to be in control of their self. They're incapable of having their own thought process. And this is how parasitic forces can take over and do fucking crazy shit. We think evil is something that comes from some devil. It's literally stupidity. That's the origin of evil. And it's scary when you think about how stupid mankind has become. When you're graduating high school these days, you're in essence getting a participation trophy.
Well, unfortunately, way of the world, and I like to think positive and say we'll get better, but realistically, we're probably going to get worse. Um, but I'm happy you mentioned evil because this is something that's brought up a lot in certain circles, good versus evil, bad and good, blah blah blah. Do you think there truly is a spiritual warfare of good versus evil, or is it perception and ideology?
No, there is. There is. There's a war between good and evil. Um, it's just not angels and demons. It's not heaven and hell. The idea of angels and demons, these are both part of you. Heaven and hell are both part of you. What the true evil does is made you believe in that. That way, no matter what, you're only a half-assed man or a half-assed woman. That's why you can be, in essence, confused about things like gender now. Because you don't have the ability to think. And that's just honest to God truth. There's fucking fact, dude, that cannot be debated. I don't give a fuck what you say. It's fact. Specific facts build the foundation for a spiritual worldview that is good and evil. This evil thing, the true Satan, is what we would call a demiurge. It's the same being. It's a parasite. Think of it like a fucking worm. It is not Yahweh. It is not Satan. It is not HVHI. Because both of those represent the Ida and the Pingala within you, the solar and the lunar currents within you, the conscious and the subconscious mind, the left and the right side of the brain. And go on and on and on. The true evil is the parasitic entities that we would call the archons. Yeah.
Now the
And you share
the archons. Now that I'm not too familiar with it, but I know it comes from Greek. I think, unless it predates it.
yeah, it means ruler.
Ruler. Okay, and it's interesting because there is an alien connection there with archons, and um, it's a bit extreme at times, but um, on the alien side of things, they say the archons are faceless, they are bodiless. They're not necessarily physical per se, but they take over us right in front of us, but in the slyest of ways through influence. There we go. That's the best way of putting it. Through influence. And because of that, we lose ourselves. And it goes back to what you were saying about humans, people not using their minds, not being individuals and following along with the crowd. A good example of this would be Beyonce, actually. They call her the queen bee. And maybe I'm looking too deep into it, but they call her the queen bee. And we all know that you have drones when you deal with bees. They're the worker bees. They do whatever the queen says through pheromones and influence. And I just always go back to that, where it's like, wow, you have so much influence. And what exactly are you doing to help people or push people to be more individual, be their individual selves? And Beyonce is just an example, but influence in general is just very strong, and it's so easy for people to get duped by someone who might be rich and powerful on TV, and then we lose
Right.
ourselves. So
Definitely.
that's what I
Yeah.
think about with archons and things of that nature, like an invisible force that is right in front of us. I know that's a little weird saying invisible, but
No,
still.
no, you gotta think, buddy. I do this. I mean, this is my job. So yeah, that's exoteric. That's really an exoteric thought. That's surface level thought. What we have to do is really understand that that's just one way of thinking.
Mhm.
Impulse. There's a lot of Gnostics that will link these to real beings. There's a lot of modern Gnostics like myself that have tied them to real beings that could be found in science. The worms that are crawling around in your stomach that are telling you what to eat. These things also help to drive your actions. This is scientific fact. Look up parasites and how they operate. These are archons. Yeah.
It's
When we
funny.
look at the serpent within the Garden of Eden, the word serpent actually in Greek or Hebrew, I forget which, but it's actually more descriptive of a worm. Ironic. Yeah, it's fucked up to think about.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
It's
listen
fucked
to the
up to
origin.
think about when you start looking at all this shit that in your mind you just want to think, oh, interesting story, that's neat. But when it's in your fucking face and it's fucking real, you're right. It's right in front of your fucking face and it's influencing you and you don't even fucking know it because it is real. And it's in the fucking sugar that you eat. People want to. You remember when they used to say marijuana was the gateway drug?
Yep.
It's table sugar, dude. Table sugar sets up your entire neurological system for addiction to everything else.
Yeah, and
Everything.
the crazy thing is they put sugar in every freaking thing. And tomato
Yeah,
sauce.
yeah,
Like,
dude.
it's insane. Like, if you guys ever really want real tomato sauce, make it yourself. Don't put sugar in it. Such a difference. But yeah, you're
Oh
right.
yeah.
And that mess is addicting. It gets you, slow, fat. It's just
Well, see, this is the issue, bro. People think it's the food that's addicting, and it's making you slow. It's making you fat. The addiction, this is what I want people to think about. The addiction isn't necessarily a biological response. The addiction comes from the consciousness of this worm that's driving your neurological system to want the thing that is destroying you. And you see, through Belial's teaching, we teach this heavily within my tradition. We talk about vibrational contagion, right? Which in essence is like environmental stimulus. If you prune a tree, the tree is going to grow. You fertilize the tree, give it the proper sunlight, it's going to grow, it's going to thrive. If you starve the tree of sunlight and water, if you start to take an axe to the tree at random parts of the trunk, you start to do harm unto the tree, it's not going to survive. Different environmental stimulus. Well, when we have relationships with people that are edifying and they're not toxic, they're uplifting. A lot of productive conversation gets done, deep conversations are had, realizations are made, epiphanies can be reached. Around toxic people, though, dude. Like, I remember I used to be in this toxic, narcissistic relationship, and I worked at a lumber yard, and I would dread going home. It was probably a 10-mile commute. You would feel the tension in the air 4 miles before you even got to the house. It was just in the neighborhood. The bitch's negative energy bled into the neighborhood. It's what it felt like. This is environmental stimulus. It's vibrational contagion. But parasites, they operate in the same way. So we as human beings, because we have these things driving us around, we are now parasitic. So let's look at human behavior. What are we doing to this earth? We are destroying it. Does any other animal destroy its own home?
No.
What does? A parasite. We, through this vibrational contagion, we've become parasitic. We have become the very thing that we claim to hate, which is archonic, tyrannical rulers. Look at relationships, simple marriages. I was talking to this about Bonnie the other day, how this same woman in this same relationship would get mad when other women would like my posts on Facebook. She was that insecure. Oh my God, if she found out that a woman messaged me for any reason, forget about it. Bonnie is nothing like that. And, I brought this up with her the other day. Like, I never understood this because there was this true crime shit that was playing, and it was talking about the toxicity of this dude who was taking control of Facebook accounts and phones and not letting this woman have friends and not letting her go anywhere with anybody, with family. And I'm like, how? Why? Why are people like this? Why do you want to be so controlling? How can you be so jealous? Well, read your Bible. I am a jealous God. People have become this. And it's right in front of their face. And it's the archetype, the ideology. And along with that, there's the real parasitic influence. It's kind of like the buttons on the controller of the video game,
Mm-hmm.
And it moves these pawns around the planet to be evil, to be parasitic, to be anti-human, anti-life. That's what I consider evil to be. Anti-life. It's simple. When we have intentions that are anything less than wanting something to thrive, we are being potentially evil. But in our minds, this is what's fucking crazy. And this is the source of great insanity within the occult, because in our minds, we can think that we are doing things for the right purpose. We can think, in fact, that we are working for God and, in fact, be working for the devil. The mind is fickle.
Yeah, can't always trust it. And
No.
it also goes back to what you said earlier, self awareness, knowing yourself, and realizing certain things.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of
Yeah.
people don't. People like living their life and not thinking about anything else that's outside of it because, out of sight, out of mind, as long as it doesn't affect me, good to go, even though it does affect you.
Yeah, it does. And it's really about what you do. It truly is, guys. Me as a teacher, as a spiritual teacher, I have to hold myself to a higher standard and ensure that I'm doing the shit that I'm talking about. That I live according to the same high standards and principles that I teach people to live with. And I do, to the point where it can sometimes upset Bonnie. I am 100% real, 100% of the time. And being grateful, this is one way of realigning your vibration and your intention towards something that is positive, that's going to keep you from developing evil impulses, if you want to think of it that way. But at the same time, man, you got to start having goal-driven people in your life and creative people. See, this is why I teach people that to exercise creative potential is so important, because it's to exercise your divinity. It exercises your creative potential. It exercises your divinity. But it also keeps you doing positive things. If you're busy building and painting statues, if you're busy building Batman armor, if you're busy modeling and painting anything, sculpting, if you're busy practicing martial arts, it doesn't matter. Art in general. You're not doing anything destructive. So again, we remove the potential for that evil impulse. But it really does come from stupidity. When you start educating yourself as a human being, the right kind of intelligence is cultivated. The right kind of intelligence. And that's where the right kind of person is born. That's where the born again really happens. It's when the consciousness moves through the yoni, that is the crown. Because the crown isn't actually a chakra. It's an opening.
An opening, how so?
It's an opening. It is not a chakra. It is an opening that connects us to the external potentials. This hermetic principle, as above, so below, as within, so without, that's what it's describing. Beyond the yoni, it is without. Or above. From within the yoni, it is within or below. The macrocosm and the microcosm. The cause and the effect. The left and the right, the light and the darkness. Blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
See, these things are mutually dependent. This is why we can't depend on these teachings of God versus the devil, light versus darkness. It really is about intention and purity of heart. There's two things, two core emotions, love and fear. When you're anchored in love, harmony is created. This does not mean you are a passive bitch. When you're anchored in love, you will destroy people. Without a doubt. It's just you'll be doing it in the proper context. So it won't be about destroying people. It'll be about protecting the innocent. You see? It's really about what's going on in here. Just different levels, man, of understanding. Different levels, different devils.
Well, I'm stealing that from you.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
For sure. Yeah, what it's for.
And you guys, you see, you're getting a different side of Kurtis that you don't see often. Very, very deep and caring. Because I know some of you think he's crazy. He is, but caring.
Yeah, there's a lot of people need to understand, man. This is the nature of my work. I don't know what energy is going to be moving through me at any specific moment, really. I still call myself accountable, though. You see, I know without a doubt I can control myself. I know sometimes I am meant to just say, fuck society, fuck people and what they think. And I do ream people. But even when I'm doing that, it's because I'm anchored in love. When you allow people to do things like this online, and everyone in the background is telling you, oh, just ignore it, just ignore it. That's why people like that will continue. And then eventually they continue at the wrong young girl. She commits suicide. The wrong guy. When spirit tells me to rip into people, I listen because there's always a purpose. And it's always anchored in love. So that loving side, it's always being expressed. It just has to change how it expresses itself depending on the moment, I guess. Yeah.
Makes sense to me. And a little earlier, we talked about receiving messages, channeling, and how, sometimes people, they just might not have the aptitude for it. Doesn't necessarily mean they can't, but it becomes a little bit harder for them. It just doesn't come easy. However, there are spiritual tools that can assist people with spiritual communication or even communication with within yourself to help you understand you better. And and I'm talking about spirit boards and pendulums, and one that I'm really interested in, the oh gosh, and now that I want to say it I forget. um
I Ching.
Radionics, there we go, that's what I want to say. Radionics is interesting because it's almost like putting something out so you could get something in return, a trade, I guess. But we'll get to the radionics in a bit because it's not necessary. It's communication, but in a different way. But
Oh yeah, definitely. Don't forget.
uh, the um, the pendulum and spirit boards, because you've been on a Ouija board several times with Bonnie, but you go a bit deeper. Uh, you blindfold yourself, and I don't think you I don't think you clog your ears or anything. I can't even think of the name of it. You do? You do?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, we plug my. But I gotta be honest, it doesn't stop me from hearing. But yeah, we blindfold, we put in the ears, and for some reason, we put on a respirator. And the idea, I guess, is um, to shut me off. And listen, guys, I am a Ouija board skeptic. But when I am blindfolded and all my senses are taken away like that, I can hook into a Ouija board and get fantastic, very intense results. Especially when I'm working with Bonnie. Sometimes Bonnie will let go of the planchette and I will still be nailing whatever a spirit is trying to say. That's more rare, but it has happened on live streams. I think it happened when I was speaking with Richard Ramirez, the serial killer. That was insane. But yeah, man. Um, why? Because I get out of the way. I think that's why. The minute I can see the board, the minute I see my hands on the planchette, my consciousness is saying, for this thing to fucking move, my hands gotta want it. I gotta move it with my fucking hands. So the potential for the idiometer effect to occur, it's shut off. My Gemini analytical mind will not allow it. It will not allow it. It will not allow it. When I'm doing evocation, when I'm channeling, I kind of do the same thing with my consciousness, but it's not the same because the communication ain't really on a board. It's on a higher level from within. I don't know if that makes sense, but the communication isn't from out in. It's like, I don't, it's just
No,
that
I get what you're saying because it happens with me with tarot. It's just it kind of comes to you. You don't know
yeah, that
where, you don't
feel
know how.
biological, right?
Yeah, and it,
That
it comes
response.
from the inside and it leaves and goes outside. And
Yeah.
it's just it happens. Looking at a piece of freaking a tarot card, like it's just an image on a paper. Yet all of a sudden, I know that this person is dealing with depression. You're hoping to get some money. It's like, come on, how do you know this? Where does it come from? So I get what you're saying. You're connecting on a deeper level. You're tapping into the right vibration that's
Mhm.
giving you
Yeah.
those answers or allowing you to see images or whatever it may be, and you are bringing it outside. It,
Yeah.
yeah, you're
See, and when I talk about the idiometer effect, I don't want people to misconstrue me making that statement with me believing that that holds any less weight and or power. Let me give you another example. There was a point in time that a student of mine was performing evocations to a specific watcher, Azazel. And the candles were situated in such a way that the light reflected on a wall looked like a giant satyr head. Huge satyr horns. So he's sending me these photos. He's like, man, I don't know if this is coincidence that the candlelight looks like a giant Azazel, the head of Azazel, or is this a manifestation? Bro, right then in that moment, Azazel himself taught me through that manifestation that they will use circumstance, synchronicity, and the laws of physics, laws of nature to manifest through vehicles like that. So, the idiometer effect is another thing like that. The candlelight creating the shape of the satyr head doesn't change the fact that it was a concrete manifestation. Doesn't change nothing. Same goes otherwise with these other phenomena.
kind of trippy, but you know, communication is communication, and
Well,
um,
science is spirituality, though.
yeah,
Science is spirituality. When we start to understand things from the perspective of, okay, we have matter, but then there is also antimatter, and then there's dark matter, and then there is dark energy. And when we start to understand that antimatter, dark matter, these are like artistic templates used to bring forth things here. So it's like the clay of the sorceress sculptor. things start to make more fucking sense when you have a complete, thorough scientific understanding. Things start to make more sense spiritually. These things go hand in hand, you know.
Ooh, giving me chills, Curtis. Gosh darn it. So this cat is just being such a heifer. So you guys see my camera going on and off. It's not me, it's the cat. She keeps bumping the wires, turning it off, and I have to turn it back on. So in case you guys are wondering, it's not a spook or something like that. And speaking of spooks and spirits and deities, a lot of misconceptions about them. Like you mentioned, the Watcher, Azazel, and I always get them mixed up with Azrael. I know Azrael is the angel of death, and I guess because their names are similar, I always get them mixed up. What are some misconceptions about spirits, deities that you notice that people have? For instance, I'll give you one, then you can go. Um, King Payman. You know, I hear that he's evil, and if you don't listen to him, he's going to curse you, and your life is going to be miserable. You need to obey him, bow down to him because he's royalty, and that's about it. If you don't, you're done. You know, which everyone that I've spoken to who's worked with him has said the same thing. He has a strong presence, and if you're respectful, he's respectful. But as far as cursing and destroying your life, that's never happened unless, like, you make a deal and you renege on it or something, then that might be an issue. But other than that, it's just insane.
It is. Um, okay. When we're talking about angels and demons, watchers, these are all different beings. Angels and demons are closer to one another. Watchers are the true ancient gods. Azazel, true ancient god. Independent of these things we call archons. These would be the watchers who are meant to watch over the well being of humanity, teach humanity, right? So these are biological beings. It's what I want people to understand. They are just not biological in a three-dimensional perspective. They're still beyond three-dimensional time and space. So these watchers, Anunnaki, same being, from a different dimension, but they're still biological. We have their DNA. Demons, according to Gnostic scriptures, and there are some scriptures that are canon, in fact, that support this as well. Um, the demons are actually the disembodied ghosts of the Nephilim. And this is what makes all witchcraft connected to the wielding of demonic power, you see. Because during the flood, the Nephilim were drowned, destroyed. Yet the spirits of the Nephilim, through the spiritual gate that is water, had to distill into the earth. So all of the plants, all of the minerals, all of the roots, they essentially seeded the essence of specific demonic spirits so that their potential could be applied in magic. The angelic aspect is the medicinal use or more practical use of the plant. right? At any rate, so when you call upon a demon, you're calling upon the ghost of a Nephilim, who is the child of the Watchers when the Watchers fell by mating with human women. What we need to understand is that there's only one story of the fall. The story of Lucifer's fall is very modern. It didn't actually exist in the scripture. The name Lucifer could not be found in the original Greek or Hebrew. It was not found in the Greek Septuagint. It was not there until it was translated to Latin. It's just fact. Truth has some sort of subjectivity to it still. This is fact. It's not debatable. The true fall speaks of the fall of the Watchers. I do not know if I'm on, so.
Yeah, the cat decided to knock everything off. You're still alive, so I'm just trying to fix this. Don't worry, everyone can still hear you, and I'm trying to
Okay.
fix this mess on my end. So way to go, Sweepy.
Yeah, I wasn't going to keep running my mouth for no reason.
Yeah, you're good. They can hear you and see you.
Yeah, so I don't even know where I was going with that. But yeah, I think I done made my point anyway.
Freaking cat. All right, there we go.
Mercury, great man.
That should be.
Yeah, so yeah, we're talking about the different classes of spirits. Um, that's what they would be.
Oh God! Now
So the evil ones,
it's caught.
the archons, they're these parasitic beings. They're beyond angels and demons. You know, that's the true evil, and it comes forth, and it is brought forth through stupidity, ignorance. There's certain parts of scripture that are very edifying, man. There's good things to be learned. But the political power that has wielded those scriptures and the amount of blood and the amount of lives that have been claimed in the name of its God, it's abhorrent. Now, here's what I find interesting. All of these fucking people claim to be Bible believing Christians. The thing is, their Bible says that Satan is going to rule the church at the end of days, man. And they'll all say that we're in the end of days. And they'll say Trump is proof of it, or Biden is proof of it, or Obama is proof of it, or Vivek Ramaswamy is proof of it. And it's every fucking election season, right? The political ties that religion actually has, people just don't get it. They don't understand it. Holy fuck, we really got to stop. Democrat versus Republican. Guys, listen, we could work together as one human race and pass and develop and cultivate various policies from this lens of perception. I don't understand. It's so easy.
Yeah.
But when you start to evolve, that's why your consciousness starts to expand. And you have solutions. And it is easy. And it really does, dude. It starts with human beings looking in the fucking mirror and saying, I am going to be the change that I want to see in the world. That's where it fucking starts. And it does start by maintaining this sense of gratefulness. There's very basic principle things that I teach publicly, and I cram it down people's throats constantly, but it gets fucking real world results, practical results. That's one of them, man. And exercising your creative power. Like, dude, I'm going to be starting my Halloween costume in the next few days. I'm just not even going to show pictures of it. I'm going to record the process, and I'm going to finish it, and I'm going to show up on a live stream around Halloween wearing it.
Ooh.
Maybe before. We'll see. But I know what I am capable of artistically. I know the amount of effort I put into things. There's spiritual power in that. And when people start to do that as well, they find these creative outlets that they can be passionate about, dude. It like starts to transmute negativity in your life. This is what people need. People need to understand this, and this is so practical. A lot of your negativity, your negative thought processes, and all this bullshit, it's because you don't have a fucking creative hobby. It's because you need a fucking hobby. You need a life. And you're never going to fucking find one unless you get out there and you try things. Just try to do things. Just try shit. Pick something and try it. Do it.
Yeah, be like Nike. Just do it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about failing or succeeding. Just do something. Get out your comfort zone, which is something I struggle with a lot. But you know, you
Yeah,
have to
man.
try.
I got, one of my students, Donald, he will make a lot of his own fetishes, his own triangles, and his own devices. And he puts a lot of effort and energy into it. Most of my students do because I teach them to do this. Like me, myself, as someone who does spells for others, dude. I mean, I make the candles by hand. These other fools don't know what it's like to be doing actual magic, and they're charging thousands. I know because I make the fucking candles by hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, but there's a difference. There's a difference in quality. There's a difference in result. But you teach people to put that sort of fucking creative power into their magic, dude, into their work. And it finds its way into other areas of their life. It transmutes everything, dude. It does. It works in practical ways. I watch it. I'm aware of it because I watch it. How it operates in people. You know? I catch it, which is how I can sit here and tell you about it. Most people, dude, they couldn't catch it. It's important somebody can. It's one of my greatest gifts.
And there is a question for you, Curtis. So Nick asked, "Have you ever had any interactions with Belphegor? Yeah, Belphegor, or is it Belphegor? I'm bad with these names.
Belphegor.
Belphegor.
Yeah, Belphegor is highly useful in gaining access to different astral realms, cultivating the ability of astral projection, performing magic on the astral plane for the sake of manifesting results in this real world. How cause and effect works through that process. Because as you apply things magically with Belphegor in that specific sphere of existence within his environment, you will be applying things symbolically through the magic you're doing. It's going to have real world results. So you'll start to automatically grow in your understanding of correspondences. So because of that, Belphegor is still linked to Bel, Baal, Belial, Lord of the Earth, because he connects you to that through correspondences, connects the above and the below through the understanding of correspondences and magic. So it's interesting how that study and mastery of magic on the astral plane actually leads to further mastery of magic here in this world. But yeah, Belphegor is definitely a powerful entity to work with.
Oh, and hello, Noella. So she has a question for you as well. Who do you think? Who do you? What? Oh, sorry. I'm reading it from two screens here. This was a bad idea. Let me try that again. Who do you think would be good to work with for individual academic achievements?
Payment. Yeah. Payment without a doubt. You brought up payment. I find it interesting because I did a video to the 166 series on payment, right? And somebody came on after they had left several other comments. Some troll who left actual good constructive comments on other videos, but on the payment video, he says, I don't know, man. I don't think you've actually worked with payment because he's way too intense and blah, blah, blah. Pretty much what you said. Like, my response, guys, I could show you my results with payment. Each and every statue over there. My ability to master that science that is 3D printing to get those kind of fucking results. Not anybody can do that. First of all, this ain't plug and play technology. Not anybody can just 3D print. The art, the science, the mastery of the printing alone. Then you get into the painting, the finishing and the assembling of models. Now we're getting into cosplay, working with EVA foam. Then there's the scientific principles I bring forth through my magic. Like, everything that I do screams payment. And it just blows me away. Because most occultists got their heads so far up their ass, they couldn't see the face of their gods if it was right in front of their own. I can. Something I teach my students. They know how to go into the world and find the face of their gods. We don't operate on blind faith. That's not scientifically sound. It's not wise. This is the craft of the wise.
So that's funny you mentioned seeing the face because when you were speaking about payment, I'm gonna have to replay it back and make sure. But there was a weird little light that was flying over your head, and I don't know.
And
So
yeah, it's very likely. I love payment. But for the sake of intellectual fortitude, dude, and really being able to gain in that way, yeah, payment without a doubt. Especially if a person already has intelligence. If the person doesn't have intelligence, Lucifer, without a doubt. We need the illumination. We need to awaken the antinomian thought process. The true light that comes forth through the observance of being present in the now. That's Lucifer. So we want to start there. But when the person already has, you know, intelligence about them, a bit of wit, yeah, payment will cultivate that into something more refined to be applied toward art or science as you see fit. And this is why payment can be applied in so many ways, guys. Um, Everything is an art and a science. Everything. This is one of the beautiful things about Chinese culture, Japanese culture. I forget which one, but they literally glue back broken vases and broken china. And that is an art to them. The way it looks when it is glued together and repaired is an art form to them. Everything is an art
I
to the
can't
Japanese.
I can't think of the name of it, but Salon, Mystic Salon, Two Pondering Pagans, he's actually doing that art. That's what he's
Yeah,
been doing. So very powerful, very relaxing, teaches you patience, and it makes you think. And you can use that to see the pieces of life in a interesting
yeah.
way. So,
See, but this is what I'm saying. This is why we have to look at art and science. What is that? You see how much spiritual understanding can be brought forth through it. When you start to understand those pieces as parts of one's life and how things might break us, but it doesn't take away from our beauty, from our character, right? There's something to be learned through that process. And you actually learn it when you actually do it, when you actually apply it. And I know what I'm going to achieve artistically. I've not even, I haven't even started. You know what I mean?
mhm.
I haven't even started.
Oh, and thank you, Dragon Dancer. She said it's called Kintsugi.
Yeah.
So thank you, Dragon. Appreciate that.
Thank, thank you for sure. Because it's worthy of mentioning. It's fucking, dude. It's it's a beautiful art. The principle is powerful. Yeah. Now, look, I am not one of these, because, guys, listen, I'm a martial arts instructor. Not all of you might know that. But I've taught magic and martial arts as one synonymous unit for a long time before diving into the occult as an occult teacher. Man, I see martial arts and magic as pretty much the same fucking thing. Just as you can learn about the pieces of life and how to bring them together through what's the name of it again?
Kintsugi.
Kintsugi?
Yep.
Kintsugi. Yeah, man. You can learn so much about so many things through so many different avenues. We just have to be open to the lessons. You're only going to get open to the lessons by being present, though, by being now. When you are now, when you are in the fucking moment, guys, you're not worried about the past and all of the trauma that it's caused you because the past doesn't exist. You're not in the future worrying about the future. So you're not worrying. That's what worry comes from. Worry always is fear about something that is not manifested. But when you're authentically present, you can be open to learn powerful shit. This is the state of Wu Xin. to the Chinaman. No mind. No mind is not the same as stupidity. No mind is no sis. That headspace we were talking about earlier at the very beginning, that's what gnosis is. A lot of people, they will define gnosis as information that you get from a spirit. Like they'll say, hey, Kurtis, man, the gnosis that you received in Black Magic of Ahriman was life-changing. Okay. But that's not really what gnosis is. Gnosis is the no mind. It's the state of becoming. It's a state of evolving, becoming, in stillness. That might be movement. You never know. It's hard to explain. Very deep. Yeah, I don't want to mind fuck people too hard there. Yeah.
So going back to something, because I don't want to forget about it, going back to
Radionic.
radionics. And I have such a big interest in radionics because it's something that, like, I can visualize it to get an understanding of putting it out there to receive it back. I get that, but then it's like, how the heck does this work? What is the science behind it? And, is it actually something, or is it all in our heads? But, I see certain people talk about it and they swear by it, but, it's everyone swears by everything. And
Yeah.
I know that you and Jennifer Vatsa have delved into it. And I'm just trying to understand it. How the heck does it work? How does it communicate with the
All
universe,
right.
gods, whatever we want to call them? What is the secret behind it?
Well, most of the boxes that you're buying out there these days, they're not real. Real radionics boxes, guys, they use organite specifically. They generate orgone, energy, life force, key. Now, some would say, well, an electrical charge is key. This is true. To an extent, it is. And you can change the intensity of an electrical charge. But it's not the same as generating life force in a direct way. Um, so, these little cute wooden radionics boxes being sold on the market today, guys, if they worked, I'd be dead. Guarantee it. Here's how they work. When you have a machine that works, first of all, it's going to cost you about $2,000. The machines that I use, my first one was given to me, and it was worth over $2,000. I can thank that woman from the bottom of my heart because she got me into radionics well before anyone else ever had their hands on it, years ago. And I got to talk to the people that developed it. And I got linked and hooked into a very powerful system of machines because they can be networked. It's a whole nother subject because machines can be networked like people, hooked into the strength of one another. So that one machine can pull from an army of 40. This can be done. I've done it. We've done it. So you can plug this motherfucker in, and when you do now, because of the organite, it is developing orgone life force. That can be changed. The frequency is changed through dials. Of course, as you turn the dials, the electric charge is changed. This means the output changes. This means the frequency changes. So the intensity of the orgonite being generated changes, right? You use this same principle. We call it idiometer effect. So in other words, let's say I want to create a sigil of specific intention. I use my methods. I have a free sigil magic course on my YouTube channel, guys. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's free. And the way I make sigils, no one else makes them like me. It's not taught anywhere else. You could use that method. You could activate that sigil and you can think about your intention. And as you do, and as you're visualizing it, you could be turning the knobs until your intuition just tells you to stop. The same way your intuition will tell you to pull a tarot card. You know? Same principle. That frequency is for that sigil. If that sigil was to bring wealth towards this client, I would put the client here as the person or the target, and I would put the sigil, which manifests wealth, abundance, over here, and I'd leave it for so many hours. Turn it off, release the energy like you would a spell, and you get results. That's how it works.
Yeah, you're still
A
live,
lot of
Curtis.
people think you could just leave work on a radionics machine. And it's like having an army of sorcerers constantly bombarding your enemy with negative energy. They might think that. No. What you're doing is you're creating your own radionics box to be a negative energy anchor. So all of that disease and shit that you're trying to send out, you're generating that in your environment in a direct way. It's not something that they'll teach you. It's one of the stupidest things you could do is start cursing with radionics. Guys, if it worked that way, I'd be dead. Look at the people's lives who work it that way. The proof is always in the pudding. It's in the practical matters. So that's how it works. You're generating a very specific charge that is linked to a very specific amount of energy, a very specific frequency that's brought forth through the intention that is the design of the sigil and the person you want to affect. All the elements of the spell are there. That's how it works. When the machine is not generating orgonite energy, when it's not generating orgone energy though, and it's just pushing electricity, it's not the same fucking thing. It just doesn't work the same. I'm sorry.
Okay, so that's really good to know because I won't say names, but you know the same people that I see, you see, they
Mm-hmm.
push that stuff hard. They sell it, and this is
Yeah.
just man. This cat is it
Well,
a full moon tonight or something?
bro, they couldn't sit here and tell you what I just told you if they tried. I bet you they've had podcast after podcast with Dr. Whoever, and it still wasn't broken down like that.
No, it wasn't.
I guarantee it.
It 100% was it because I've looked at them like because I'm interested in it, and It's one of those things where I want to truly understand. Uh,
If somebody wants to start delving into radionics, I would recommend the RAD. I think the RAD 500.
mhm.
It's a good starting machine, but it's not cheap. These machines are expensive. The one that I had was not cheap. Had a lot of bells and whistles too, but the fucking thing worked. And you got to think too. My intentions were way different. Like what I was doing was I was taking this radionics machine. I was cranking it up to 1,100 hertz to restructure water molecules to be of that high vibrational state, to resemble that geometric pattern. And I also did this by anchoring moldavite to the outside of this water bottle. So it was a really evolutionary elixir. And then I would take that water that sat for 3 days at 1,100 hertz, one of those big fucking 3-gallon tubs, and I would extract monoatomic gold from it. And holy fuck, the results I got from that was so fucking insane. If I would have, I got terrified because I felt like if I continued to take this monoatomic gold, my life would be over in a blink of an eye. Like, guys, I'm not lying when I tell you a week would go by and it seemed like a moment in time. I already am not one to be led around by my dick, led around by my stomach, led around by the whims of the flesh. I'm just really not. You know what I mean? Control my head. Put me on that shit. It's a different kind of high. Because you don't get high. Your vibration gets high because I charge that water at 1,100 hertz. I need you to understand something. I think the average human being might put off maybe 25 hertz. Imagine and understand that we are made up mostly of water. When you are taking in an elixir that is not just water, but monoatomic gold, which is theoretically a superconductor, and the human neurological system is using this potential, your perception is different. Trust me when I say a week would go by and it seemed like a few minutes. Trust me when I say, oh, I didn't realize I haven't eaten in 4 days. Oh, I forgot to sleep this week. It was insane. So that's the kind of shit that I did with my radionics. It wasn't about, cursing people and stuff like that. It was about creating healing talismans and charging food because you can increase the efficiency of your water and your food when it's charged with healthy Oregon energy. See, you can't do this with these cardboard fucking radionics machines that they're pushing. If it's not generating light force energy, it ain't working the same, man. It's just not. I'm sorry.
Noella has a question for you, and she asks, "What do you think after that experience a good amount of hertz would be? What would you speculate most people could handle?"
Well, what I would say is you want to utilize the radionics machine in the same way you would utilize exercise. So let's say the human body normally produces around 25 hertz. Amp it up to 30 for a week. Keep yourself on the radionics machine. You can take a sigil on the back of a photo, put a drop of your blood on it. Boom. Bam. There you go. But do it for a few hours, take it off, shut it off. Okay? Because you don't want to lose yourself. And that's what I did. You have to maintain yourself. You have to allow your frequency to come back and adjust and elevate itself through the transmutational process. If you're always on go, 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 transmutation mode, yeah. And that's what I was doing. Constantly taking this shit. Like, I should have been taking the monoatomics maybe like that once a week. Because that was some special shit. But in regard to radionics, yeah, that's what I would do. I would start to maybe 5 hertz higher than the average human being and then build upon it.
Yeah. And you gave such a great example with exercise. You know, they always say start low, work yourself up, work your way up,
Yeah,
you know.
you will fuck yourself up. And that's what I did, guys. I mean, my perception was warped. You got to understand that we are bioelectric beings. When people have encounters with spirits that seem to be negative encounters, a lot of times this is due to the fact that you and that entity do not resonate with each other. There is not a resonance, in essence, because of lack of alchemical work on your part. And it will manifest just like a relationship in this world will manifest, where you encounter someone who just doesn't fucking like you because of who you are. Because a certain quirk you have, a certain way you are. Now, granted, when it's a demon or an angel, it's normally something a little more important than human judgments, right? But yeah, dude, it's, I don't know. Forget where I was going.
That's all right. Um, we're gonna actually start moving towards the end. I know we're going long, but that's because of a certain cat who's now snoring. Um, but I think this is a good question considering, and it's an important one. But what are some red flags you feel people should watch out for if they are looking for someone to teach them about magic or witchcraft, whatever you want to call it, and some signs of trouble, we'll say, like, okay, this is trouble, I should just stay away. And I'll go first with one quick example. If you're needing money and someone says, oh yeah, I'll get that to you, but they're charging you $2,000 starting, you probably should stay away from them. So what are some red flags that you can share with us that people should watch out for?
When they're never actually teaching you anything for free. See, my channel, dude, we do a lot of talking and a lot of teaching. Meaningful shit, too. There's a lot of material to be found there. 400 and some videos. That doesn't even include Patreon. My God. Point is, it's never about me being special. That's one red flag you gotta watch for. I'm not fucking special. I'm like you guys. I show you the practical ways of how magic works by showing you, oh, look at this art that I decided to get into. Look at how magic has led to my mastery of it. Here's another example. Here's martial arts and how it is applied here. Like, the proof is in the pudding. If the people don't bear the fruit, that is self mastery. Yeah, you got to watch out for that too. You also got to look at your idea of self mastery. Because if you think someone who is mastered themselves is going to be like Master Splinter, this is why only certain people have knowledge of self mastery. Because they know what it actually is. Point being, to be honest, at the exoteric level, man, you gotta really understand that it's really about the vibe that the person gives you. And are they consistent? But at the end of the day, you want your teaching to come from reading medieval texts, read shit that's old. Learn from the old systems. Very rarely will I trust a modern author. There's a couple. Michael Ford, Mark Allen Smith, myself, because I know where they're writing from, you know. But most people are not qualified. So get experiences working out of the Leviathan. Get experiences working out of the Goetia. Get experiences out of those texts. Apply Solomon's seals. You know what I mean? Learn to use psalms in your magic through these various avenues. Dr. Rudd, in his translation of the Goetia, I think it directly mentions the link with the demons and the Psalms and their corresponding angel. Wonderful, wonderful way of learning. Stay the fuck, dude, I gotta be honest. Get most of your knowledge from your own experience and your own doing and systems that mean something in history. Not this made up shit of modern times. You don't need to cast a circle. Guys, the circle is your auric field. You have to strengthen your auric field to be effective at magic. This is done by strengthening the various levels of consciousness through exercises such as the middle pillar that modern black magicians refuse because they use modern Christian names of God, not understanding that Adonai is really actually a name of Belial. Whatever. Lots of red flags. At the end of the day, keep your intention pure, though, and you'll get the right teacher. They'll drop in at the right time. And that's where they come in. It's when you get the right space here and here. When you're right here and here, yeah, you start to get information from authentic places. That's important.
Okay. I think that is a good spot to end it. Kurtis, thank you so much for joining me, sharing your knowledge. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah. So, where can people find you if they want to learn from you or contact you? Where do they go?
Go to kurtisjoseph.com. Go to the contact me section of the website. You could hit me up on Patreon, Kurtis Joseph. Here on YouTube, Kurtis Joseph. Facebook, I'm not really a big part of it anymore. If you want to get a hold of me there, the account is Ordo Dracontia. But honestly, I'm usually here on YouTube or Patreon.
All right. And those links can be found in the description below. And while at it, be sure to follow Unexplained Possibilities on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit. Those links are also in the description below. Thank you guys for hanging out. Oh, I just belched, and now I got to edit this out for the freaking podcast stream. But anyway, thank you guys for hanging out with us. Appreciate it. Thank you for asking some questions. Appreciate that. And go check out Kurtis. Go, go, go. Again, links are in the descriptions.
Oh, yeah.
So with that said, remember, guys, there are things that go bump in the night. Go ahead and tell them. Bye, everybody.